Hi, Keith Wilson here, and welcome once again to another hugely valuable tutorial that will show you the enormous power of the group function in ACT, and in particular the obvious benefits of using the criteria function to populate your groups. Now for me, groups are one of, if not the, most underused features of ACT. Amongst other reasons, you should seriously consider using groups. If 1, you regularly perform the same lookup. 2, you often search for data based upon more than one field in your database. Or 3, you want to increase efficiency, which obviously everybody does. Okay, so let's take a look and see how you can benefit by implementing this amazingly simple yet very powerful functionality. So the first thing you need to do is create a new group. And as with most things in ACT, you can achieve this in a variety of ways. But my recommendation is to get used to using the global toolbar, as it definitely will increase efficiency for you. So alongside the New button, you can click on the drop-down list and select Group. One word of caution here though. Depending on what mode you're currently in, if you click the New button, it will create a new record that corresponds with that particular mode. And what I mean by that is, here I am within the contact detail view. So if I click the New button from here, ACT assumes I want to create a new contact, which I obviously don't. So let's just delete that record. Similarly, if you were working in the opportunities mode, and subsequently clicked on the New button from here, again, ACT will create a new blank opportunity record. Now I just wanted to make you aware of that before you start accidentally creating unwanted blank records in your database. Let's just delete that and get back to the New Group option. And what we're going to do is create a new group to pull together all our customers that have an email address, or should I say have something in the email address field. So in the group field, you need to give it a suitable name, and if need be, you can also specify a more detailed description for future reference. But in this example, I'm simply going to call the group Customers with Email. I would always get in the habit of saving your changes as well. Okay, the next step is to add contacts to the group, and as I said, this tutorial is going to show you how to automatically add contacts based upon certain criteria that I'm going to specify. So let's start building our criteria by clicking on the Add Removes Contacts button. Or alternatively, you could click on the button at the bottom and both will give you the same result. And you're now confronted with this dialog box, and the option you want is Edit Criteria. Now you're into the nuts and bolts of the criteria building process, and it may look a bit daunting, but I can assure you it's actually very simple once you get started. So the first thing you need to do is specify whether the field you want to search on is within the contact table or the opportunities module. Now for this example, I'm going to keep it very simple and only use data from the contact mode. So it works in exactly the same way as the lookup function, in that first you choose the field that contains the data you want to filter by, which in this case is ID status. Remember, I'm looking for all customers with an email address, and the customer information is held in the ID status field. Okay, the second selection you need to make is which operator to use. And one thing to be very clear about here, in particular, especially when using the ID status field, is that some of your contacts may possibly have more than one entry in this field, i.e., a contact could potentially be a customer and also a supplier. So if you were to use the equal to option, any contacts that also contain something else in that field will not be added to this group. In this case, you definitely want to use the contains operator, as it will scan your data for any records that contain the word customer somewhere in the ID status field, and it will not matter if anything else is present within that field. And the third step is to specify what you want to find in that particular field, which in this example is customer. The final step is to click on Add to List. As soon as you click on that button, ACT will summarize your selection in the window and also allow you to preview your results so far. So let me just quickly show you. Okay, so what we have here is our summary. So we've looked in the contact table. The field that we want to focus on is ID status. And what we're saying is it must contain the word customer. Okay, so once we're happy with our criteria, to preview your results so far, simply click on Preview. So there I have 67 customers in my database, or should I say 67 records in my database where the word customer is present in the ID status field. I say this somewhat tongue-in-cheek because in my experience, I often find certain frailties in the database where some records are often missing key data such as the ID status, but more on that in a future tutorial. Hopefully you don't have blank entries in any of your critical fields, but if you have, I strongly recommend you pause this video right now and find them immediately and populate them with the correct data. Okay, let's now add our second criteria, which is that the customers must also have an email address in their record. So again, we're going to be working on the contact table. And in this example, the field that we want to look at or search on is the email address. And the operator that we're going to use this time is contains data. That way, if my customer has anything at all in the email field, it will be included in the group. Now, you may or may not have picked up on the fact that I purposely stated anything at all rather than a valid email address. And what I mean by that is ACT does not perform any check on the contents of the field. So unfortunately, if somebody has entered something else rather than the valid email address, ACT will still include that record in this group.